What is up, RotoGrinders? 2 hours nonstop NBA DFS conversation starts right now on Wednesday, the day for humping, the day for basketball, day for awesome. I love a sprint slate. It's a 7-game, it's an 8-game or 7-game? 7-game sprint slate on DK. Literally a half-hour window, 7:30 first game locks, last game locks, 8 o'clock. FanDuel did not care for that structure. They did add the last 2 games on FanDuel. FanDuel insisted on having New York and Portland, as well as the back half of the ESPN doubleheader. That is Minnesota and Denver. Every team is on an island game today, with the exception of the Clippers. Clippers back half of a back-to-back traveling in Miami. Wonder if James Harden went out last night. Not sure, but that's just a curious thought. And who knows what time they got in? Probably got in pretty late into Miami. Myself, Bobby Gomes, $4 million winner. Bobby Gomes, a gamer, giving it a go today. Not 100%. Appreciate you showing up here, Bobby. We got a 7-gamer on DK, 9-gamer on FanDuel. As always, this time of year, some really, really tanktastic games. The Philadelphia-Toronto game is going to be miserable. Spoiler alert. 2 teams that drastically, very much want to lose a basketball game. They're in contention with each other, jockeying for that 5 or 6 spot. There's some good games in theory, right? Boston taking an OKC, but those are 2 teams that are entrenched. They know their spots. OKC's got the 1. Boston's got the 2. I mean, theoretically, mathematically, they can move, but not really. It's not happening. Boston's going to be the 2. OKC's going to be the 1 in the West. We'll see how much they push. Tatum is officially questionable. Injury report. We just got a brand new one at 5:30. Should be getting some updates coming in. But Bobby, how are you? How are things? How we doing?
Yeah, we're doing better than the last 2 days. I just passed 2 kidney stones, and I'm a gamer though. Like you said, Dean, at the top of the show, I showed up. I think I had the flu. Slept in a Canada Goose last night.
What?
Yeah, I had the flu. So
what's the goose you mentioned?
A jacket. I slept in like a big parka that you would wear skiing.
Okay, you got to dumb it down for me. I don't know these winter terms you speak of.
Oh yeah, you're in Florida. I forgot. Yeah, so we're here.
Goose down, I'm being told. Yeah, Bobby. They're saying in the chat. Alan says, "Bobby, illness now probable." Yes, you had the intent of showing up, and you did show up, so we appreciate it. There it is. Oh, look at that. That looks pretty fancy. That's 950.
It's like a big jacket. But yeah, that's the company.
Okay, I'm aware. I've seen those before.
Wouldn't wear something like that, I don't think.
Yeah, kidney stones.
The ski one. That one's too shiny for me.
Steve did pull it up. He's not actually buying it for you. You don't expect it anytime soon in the mail. But it's kidney stones. Some of us can relate. It is absolutely a miserable experience, and hopefully that'll be the last time you ever have to deal with that. 7-gamer tonight. It is I was going to say it's a Wheel Wednesday, but it's not. It is not a Wheel Wednesday because the people have been slumping. They're still being punished for not getting the likes up for us. We talked about some of the guys as far as questionable on the injury report. News will be coming in fast and furious, if not on our show, on Crunch Time. Crunch Time, again, take you guys all up to 7:30 up to lock. But, Hartenstein officially in for OKC. Jay Williams, he's out for a while, so it's kind of a big deal for the Thunder. Porzingis, speaking of illness, he's been dealing with the illness for a while now, getting serious. He's still questionable. Tatum is questionable. Again, that's an ESPN game. He played a ton of minutes against the Lakers. And, again, those games kind of don't matter for Boston right now. They are resting. Then they rested against, I think it was Utah. They rested some players. I think they might ramp it up just as a showcase game, and for ESPN, possible finals preview, I suppose you can say that as well. Scotty Barnes is questionable too, and again, Toronto very much wants to lose this game. Quickly's already been ruled out. Philadelphia on the other side, they're ruling. Yabusele's questionable. Oubre's questionable. Those guys probably don't play because they are 6-7, I believe, in the Tankathon. They're 6-7 with essentially identical records. And we talked about this before with Philadelphia. They have a pick that is top 6 protected, so they absolutely need to sneak in the top 6. So that, they've lost 2 of their 8 of their last 10. But Toronto did win last time out. They're winning too much. They've won 5 of their last 10. So it's tightening up there with the old Tankathon. Big picture wise, anything you want to note as far as this slates? I pulled up the situation room. Like I said, Barnes questionable, Tatum questionable, PJ Washington's questionable. Maybe he plays. Of course, Kawhi is ruled out back half of a back-to-back. We said Oubre is questionable. Quickly already ruled out for Toronto. Maybe Utah brings back Lauri Markkanen. It looks like a game where they're supposed to lose anyway. That's when they tend to play their guys. They're 12-point dogs. If the game's close, Utah's not going to, play their players. It's very simple. But, the tank will take care of itself when you're taking on Memphis most likely. And, we're going to see Matisse Thybulle is available. Get excited. That's for the FanDuel slate. Supposedly he's available to play for the first time, make his season debut. And Rudy Gobert is questionable too. I'm sure he's excited to take on the Joker, who once dropped 47 on him, at least at some point in that game. Bro, I got 47. I was listening to that story, the podcast when it was Jamal Murray was talking about that, when Rudy was like, yeah, I got Joker, I got him. And they're trying to give him help. He's like, and Joker just casually says to him, like, bro, I got 47. You sure you got me? We'll see if we get Gobert back tonight. That is the back half of the ESPN doubleheader. Anything big picture-wise, Bobby, that you want to note before we dive?
I think I'm targeting Charlotte-Atlanta game a good bit tonight. Yeah. I don't love it because I'm getting a ton of Trae Young, and that's never comfortable for me. I think the Memphis guys are important too. Morant, Bane. You basically just wrote this game up, I see.
Yeah, if you look at the survey, I talked about the things that you're talking about right now. I think I want to play, and these things are always fluid, but I think I want to play one of Bane or Morant in like every lineup I make. I don't make a lot of lineups, but I think I want to play one of those two. They have basically a 130 total. And the matchup against Utah is just incredible. They bleed fantasy points or multiple angles, most 3-pointers made, second or third most actual points, most blocks, most steals, most threes. They just give it up from all the angles. And Atlanta and Charlotte is supposed to be tanking. I'm not sure if they got the memo. Certainly the Bridges thing is very weird because now they won 2 in a row, but they lost 8 before that. So they were on a nice streak, and they're currently in the 3 spot. But they only have a couple games on New Orleans. But if you look at Bridges, like his minutes have been outrageous of late. His usage has been great. His fantasy points have been spectacular. And it's a massive pace up spot there against Atlanta. So you say you're uncomfortable with Young. I am too. But I like a Kungwu more. Capella ruled out. And I like Daniels more, dollar for dollar. But it's uncomfortable, but I like Bridges tonight. And I like that game too. And we'll get to it, but I like Atlanta, Charlotte.
Yeah, I have a good bit of Bridges and Trae Young. Those are like the two. And then Kungwu following behind Trae Young and from Atlanta. Yeah, it's just interesting slate overall.
Yeah, for sure. And center is pretty tough because I didn't mention Richards is ruled out. Well, no, he's officially doubtful, right, for Phoenix. And that means the millionaire, the plum dog, might get unleashed to some degree. And it's a perfect matchup for him as far as like size. Because Şengün on the other side. We've seen Houston play double bigs with Steven Adams of late and Şengün in the court at the same time. So you got to figure. And like Bull will get absolutely muscled around, thrown, whatever adjective you want to use. If Şengün, it was the matchup against him, he would annihilate him. I know people like Bull's like a skill set and things like that, but there's no way he can like D up Şengün. Şengün will work him. So I imagine Plumlee will start and play a fair bit of minutes, and especially on DK where you can roster 2 centers. Not that anybody's ever excited about playing Mason Plumlee, but I think he's a pretty good option on the slate. I think he's one of our better dollar for dollar plays as well. But yeah, center's tough because Kungwu looks good. I don't think it's the worst idea to play Mark Williams if Nurkic doesn't go. I think he's still questionable, right? Isn't Nurkic? He has that neck. Did we get an update on that? Yeah, he's still questionable. If he doesn't go, I know they have Diabate, but I think it solidifies Williams' minutes a little bit. Porzingis, I assume if he goes, he probably doesn't. But if he does, probably limited minutes. He hasn't played for a while. He's been dealing with a sickness, so he would probably be one of the worst plays on the slate. Theoretically, if Toronto let Poeltl play, I think Poeltl could be good. I don't know how much to let him play. We've seen them, and a lot of it, it's really hard to do the analysis because, it's based upon in-game score, right? And we've seen that with Philadelphia as well. Philadelphia was down like 10 or 15 points the entire game last game. You remember when coach said, yeah, we're going to limit Oubre's minutes. We're going to limit Yabusele's minutes. We're going to limit Grimes' minutes. Grimes played like 40 minutes last game. That's not a limit. But the reason why he said that, the reason why that was in play is if they're ahead, you got to yank them out. But if you're behind by 10, 15, who cares? Let them play forever. And how do you predict that? I don't know. How do you know what the score is going to be in the third quarter? And that's the same thing with a guy like Barnes, if he plays, or Pirtle. Although the Raptors look like they're down to 10, which is of note. So, they don't have a ton of options. That's why, Shed and Roden and Lawson are hitting some stuff because they're really cheap and they should probably play a pile of minutes. Even Robinson, but they give him a Pirtle back, Robinson would fall back, theoretically, unless they give the hook to Pirtle. Any thoughts on that? By all means, share them. But anything else as far as the slates? Otherwise, we can dive in and do the old game by game.
No, let's hop in a game by game.
Let's do it. We've not officially said hello to YouTube. Hey, YouTube, hit that like button and subscribe and turn on those notifications. We would appreciate all of that. Let's see. Is there any updates coming in? Hold on. Jazz fined $100,000 for violating player participation policy in connection with with Lauri Markkanen. $100,000. That they learned their lesson. No, for sure. They're never going to screw around. $100,000. The Jazz are going to go out of business. That's it. They're broke now. What a joke.
I mean, Charlotte didn't want to give a fan a PS5, so $100,000's a lot.
That was just so embarrassing. What a terrible franchise, both of them. I remember that they pretended like they were giving it to the kid and they yanked it from him. Like it was during Christmas too. Oh, terrible job. $100,000. That is hilarious. Markkanen's fine. If he drops something, he can pick it up. His back's okay. LeVert officially in. Trae Young officially in. Okay, let's do it. Scotty Barnes out. That is not a surprise because again, Toronto wants to lose. Toronto wants to lose. Does that mean they're down to 9? Is Toronto down to 9? We might actually see Boucher play, who's been the DMP for a while. He's been dealing with teeth. Okay, that's going to change things. Pirtle could be such a good play if Philadelphia is like ahead in this game. It's going to be wild to watch this one, Bobby. If it's a close game, we might see both benches, 5 through 9, 5 through 10, or I guess 6 through 10. We'll be playing.
If I have this game on tonight, my girlfriend might throw my TV out the window.
Does she know? Would she know this is a terrible game? Could she tell? Does she know Philly Toronto is worse?
Yeah, she knew. Oh, we must be playing NBA DFS tonight if we're watching.
She knows Philly's terrible.
Toronto and Philly.
Yeah. No, right. She'd be in the right. I recently bought the YouTube TV or whatever, and you can connect your NBA package to it. And the quad box is beautiful. You can't build your own quad box, but they give you at least 10 different options. So I might get Philadelphia Toronto somewhere on the quad box, but something would not feature Philadelphia Toronto unless I really.
I had YouTube TV at that house the Airbnb I rented in Florida, and I hated it.
Why did you hate it?
Because
navigation? You don't like
the navigation of it? Yeah, I had to learn how to do everything and. I don't have the time for stuff, Dean.
I don't bounce around. I don't channel surf. I just go I want to find the sports, and but I didn't really dance around as far as what's on TNT. I didn't do that, Okay. Thunder, Celtics, again, all these games, 7 o'clock, 7:30 to 8 o'clock. It's beautiful. I love this setup. Of course, FanDuel out of the last 2. The Thunder at Boston, first half, the ESPN doubleheader, 228.5 is a total. It is tight. Boston is just a 3-point favorite. We did mention there are some players to monitor here. Most notably for Boston, Jaylen Brown officially in. He's probable with that knee. Porzingis is questionable. Tatum is questionable. He's got a knee. I assume Tatum plays. My guess would be Porzingis sits. And if he plays, he's a terrible play anyway. We projecting Porzingis in. We generally project questionable players in. But Porzingis, we are projecting him in for what it's worth. And as far as OKC, we do know that Jalen Williams is out, which is kind of a big deal. Caruso is questionable with an illness. And as far as the bigs for OKC, both should be good to go. Hartenstein officially available. Chet is on the not on the injury reports. just again, I'm a little bit concerned here as far as these guys pushing. We did see him push first. Did we lose Bobby? Am I talking to myself right now? I'm seeing a spinning camera. But all right, Steve, Bobby is not with us, right? Or unless I can't hear him either. So
yeah, we lost him right now.
All right. Well, I will continue in power forward, and hopefully we can get Bobby jumping back here. OKC and Boston. Ownership-wise, SGA getting a fair bit. We're giving him 36 minutes. And, if you want to tell yourself the story, it's ESPN. The SGA still wants to close it out as far as the MVP stuff. Again, they're solidified in the one. The one spot is OKC. They're up by like 8 games or so. Broccoli Boy says Bobby is doubtful to return. Oh, boy. You guys don't want to bring in Kirky from the bullpen, says Joey. I don't know. Is Kirky lurking? I have no idea. Not really sure, but you guys don't want to, an hour straight, just me, I don't think, but we'll see. If it's just me, so be it. Maybe we'll get Bobby popping back here in just a second. Tatum officially in, Agbaji out, Barnes out, and Battle is available despite the fact he's got a nose for Toronto. So yeah, Tatum in, Horford in with his toe. I don't see clarity on Porzingis. And again, we are currently projecting him in, but feels like a 50-50 deal to me at best. All right. Yeah, I don't really love anybody in this game, but I think you can tell yourself the story that they just go for it. We're giving a ton of minutes to Tatum. We saw a ton of minutes from Tatum against the Lakers. Why not do it again? It's an island game. They sat him against Utah. I believe they sat him against Utah. They sat somebody important. I think it was Tatum. I think he's fine. It's just it's Utah. Oh, Porzingis out. Thank you, Derek. Appreciate that. Why did that come in? Did I just miss it? All right. So Porzingis is out. We will adjust accordingly. 25 minutes or so. But I imagine those will go to probably not terribly important. Would Horford be good? I don't think so. Center's tight enough. He might be playable, but the matchup obviously not good against the OKC bigs. The long and the short of it for me on this game is I'm not really prioritizing anybody. I mostly play single entry stuff, 3-entry max stuff. I don't have any major priorities, but sure, of course, you can always play SGA, and you want to tell yourself the story that he wants to reclaim that MVP on national TV, and I assume he's getting it. But Joker kind of punched back last game, heads up. Tatum coming in around 10%, Brown around 5%. Nobody else getting any ownership. I don't think they push the centers either for OKC, so it's a no-go for me. Let's move on. And just checking in. I don't know. Feel free, Steve, to let me know if we have an update as far as Bobby Witt. Speaking of Bobby, he left today's game with a hand, further testing on his forearm. Hopefully Bobby Witt is fine. One of the best players in all of baseball. It's the Hornets and the Hawks. 241 is the total. 125 team total for Atlanta. They're 9-10-point favorites here. Already kind of touched this one. Awesome environment. If Charlotte could hang, I think this game is a really good game stack as far as who's in and who's out. Nurkic is questionable, which kind of sort of somewhat matters. I think you might get a couple extra minutes potentially out of Mark Williams. If Nurkic goes, Williams kind of pushes back a little bit. They might run all 3 centers, and Nurkic, Diabate, and Williamson. I don't want any of them. Kind of touched on it already, but Miles Bridges, his usage, his minutes, he's been awesome of late. Again, sort of despite Charlotte wanting to lose this game. Again, they've won 2 in a row. They're in trouble. They're dangerously on the fringe of falling out of the top 3 in the Tankathon. Again, you want to be in the top 3 to have a 14% chance to get the number 1 pick in the upcoming draft. On the fringe. So in New Orleans knocking on that door. Atlanta, Young looks great. Daniels looks great. Speaking of Charlotte, by the way, I like Ball, but probably going to get some defense of Dyson Daniels. It doesn't mean you can't play him. But, Daniels probably makes life a little bit easier for Bridges, a little bit harder for Ball. Love Daniels. Love Young. And Okongwu, the absence of Capella. Now they probably are we projecting Barlow to play some backup 5, I assume. I assume that is the case. Pulling up our minutes here now. Let's see. We're giving Barlow 11, Okongwu 32, which is obviously really, really solid. The matchup against Charlotte is spectacular as well. 32 minutes for Okongwu against his Charlotte lineup. I think that's one of the best center plays on the slate. and ownership reflects it, right? We got 22% for Bridges, which again, it is kind of wild, but like he's been doing it pretty much for 7 games straight now. Trae Young coming in at 20%, Okongwu 20%, Ball at 20%, and then sort of the fringe guys on Atlanta, Niang and LeVert, as well as Ricochet. It's tricky to figure who's going to get those extra couple minutes, but they're all projected somewhere in the mid-20s. 24 Niang, 28 LeVert, 25 Ricochet. Who's ever playing best amongst that group will close. But, I like I'm probably going to play somebody on Atlanta no matter what. If I don't get to Okongwu, if I don't get to Young, if I don't get to Daniels, I'm good playing a Niang or a LeVert. But that's kind of where I'm at. And again, Bridges, this might be like a little game stack for me. I know game stack's a weird way to phrase that because, it could be 1-1 or like a 1-2. And my favorite player in Charlotte by far is Bridges. And I think Williams does get a bump if we happen to lose. Nurkic. What are we projecting for him? 13 minutes for Nurkic and 9 for Diabate. So we have for Williams. Oh, is somebody popping in? Yo, it's Tim.
What up, Dean?
Hey, I guess Bobby is hopefully it's not another groin issue. It's just a TV and an internet issue, because I know he was powering through, and I'm sympathetic to the kidney stones. Not a good time for sure. I can vouch. What you've heard is true. Tim, thank you for jumping in here. Do you have any thoughts on Charlotte and Atlanta? Just kind of throw you right in the thick of it. But I really like this game. It's one of my favorite games on the board.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 241 total. I think it's a spectacular game to target on the slate. I don't know if you mentioned Okongwu at all at 7,100. I really like him quite a bit. There was a comment in chat about LeVert. I think this is a really good spot for LeVert at 5,400. Fills that shooting guard small forward spot as well. So I don't mind LeVert at all. I did just run Sims, and I'm waiting for that to come up. But we'll see what Sims have to say on this game. But I assume that we're going to be getting to a lot of LaMelo Ball at 9,600. I mean, I think that's an absolutely fantastic play. So, I mean, this game is very, it's a game stack, right? So, I mean, I think there's some really natural ways to play like a 2-2 here, a 2-1, something like that. This is probably this. I mean, obviously, you talked about. I think you talked about the Philly-Toronto game. I mean, that's a pretty good game, but this game overall, I think, is better.
We touched on Philly and Toronto being an absolute disaster. We haven't actually gone into it. But,
yeah,
and I don't want to because we'll get to it. And I already touched on it, but the way to predict Philly-Toronto is knowing what the score is in the middle of the third quarter, and it's like, okay, is Philly down 15? Okay, if Philly's down 15, then they can safely keep on playing Quentin Grimes. If they're up 5, Quentin Grimes is getting the hook,
Yeah.
And so I can't tell you what the score is going to be. I have no idea. And Toronto already ruled out Barnes. And look, I haven't seen the update, but I feel pretty confident in telling you that Kelly Oubre ain't playing basketball tonight. He's too good. He's too good for this game. And I feel pretty confident in telling you, Vasilevsky probably not playing. Those guys are both questionable right now. And if they are playing, they're not going to get a ton of run. Lord King Guru, by the way, said that Bobby's girlfriend disconnected the Wi-Fi because she didn't want him thinking about the prospect of Toronto, Philadelphia throwing it up on the big screen. Yeah, that's if you really hate basketball, we'll watch the college basketball. But if you also really hate basketball,
I don't. I only watch March Madness.
I just want to get my shots in because if people love it's fine. I like the pageantry too, to be honest. But make a jumper once. Can you make one jumper, please? Yeah, Philadelphia, Toronto should be an absolute disaster. Do like Okongwu a lot too, like you were talking about it. And I don't know, is he? You mostly play single entry stuff. Is he for sure? Most likely. What are the odds that he lands as your center today?
I would say most likely. I'm not 100% committed to it, but I would say there's a very, very solid chance that he ends up being in my single entry team.
Yeah. I kind of touched on it earlier as far as kind of the slate overview, but on DK specifically, where you roster 2, Plumlee is pretty cheap and kind of helps and makes things work. And, the absence of Richards almost definitely is currently doubtful. So I assume midday downgrade to doubtful. Come on. He's not playing basketball. I do not suspect. And especially facing the likes of Adams and Şengün and some big boys on the Houston side. You got to figure, and they've been closing of late too with Plumlee as well. So he looks like one of, at least for cash games, on DK specifically, FanDuel, you only get one, and he's got a 1.2K difference upgrade asking price. So it's not as good a play over there on FD. Anything else you want to say as far as Charlotte, Atlanta, or shall we scoot along to? Oh boy, Philadelphia, Toronto is next. I didn't want to talk about it, but they're here.
Yeah, I think it's time to talk this Philly-Toronto game.
Yeah, great. Get excited. Okay, yeah, so 221 is the total. Toronto's like a 5-point favorite here at home versus the Sixers. Questionable is Andre Drummond, Kelly Oubre, Yabusele. It's possible we lose all those guys. I think it's a pretty good chance we lose all those guys. And if that's the case, then Bona probably gets a lot of run for Philly. You can see the last big standing, of course, Embiid. He's not with us. Paul George, obviously, out. Like, come on, shut him down. What are we doing? Lowry, Maxey, they're out. Gordon, of course, is out. So we can get whittled down here pretty quickly. As far as the Toronto side, we saw Agbaji get ruled out. Battle is in. I'm counting 9. How is my math?
I believe you're correct that Toronto has 9.
Shed, Lawson, Roden, Pirtle, Robinson, Boucher, Battle, Castleton, and Garrett Temple. What a hilarious 9. By the way, they're favored.
I know. Yeah, I mean,
that's the win.
That really makes me think that all these Philly guys are going to be sitting, and we're going to be playing Lonnie Walker and Bona, just because if those guys do sit, they're going to get massive minutes in this game, and they're probably going to lose, but still they're still so cheap that it doesn't really matter. Like Lonnie Walker and Bona could both go for 35 fantasy points, like super easy in this spot.
I would just say, again, I want to stress the projections are really fragile in this game. Both these teams are incentivized to lose strongly, very much so. It's the most important thing they have to do the rest of the season is lose basketball games, especially when they're facing the other team that has the same exact record as them. So, again, the Grimes thing, I don't know if you were here, we're talking about Grimes. He played, 38, 39 minutes last game? That was after Coach said it's he's on a minutes limit. But again, the minutes limit is if we're winning, he's coming out. If we're losing, we're down by 15, whatever, let him go. Have a good time. Enjoy yourself. And he went nuts and he broke the slate. But you can't project that. You can't project. But I think he's interested. If you're running 150 and it's a ridiculous price, 7-6, right? But if you take out Oubre and he's kind of the last man standing as far as the players that are willing to take shots. I guess Walker will take shots too. But it's just a fragility to it and really nothing that I can trust. I don't know what to handle this game. As far as Toronto, we're down to 9. Eric's mentioning Jared Butler in play. Yeah, and then he kind of disappeared last game, but sure. I just don't know. And the projection guys are better than me at this. And they got to put a number on it, but I haven't talked to them. But I would imagine that they probably feel which game do you feel like the least amount of confidence is as far as your minutes projection? Probably Philadelphia and Toronto. How are you handling this?
If Oubre, Yabusele, and Drummond all sit,
if they play, it makes it harder.
That's what I'm saying. But if they sit, it's not that hard.
You sure?
But if they, I am pretty sure. If you're definitely going to be playing Lonnie Walker. You're definitely going to be playing Bona, right? Like Jared Butler gets 29 minutes, right? Probably around 30 minutes. So you could definitely play Jared Butler. Then it just becomes an issue of how many 76ers do you want on one team, right? But you're definitely getting exposure to 2 or 3 of these guys.
We got our update on Toronto. We kicked out Barnes. Right? We're projecting all. Is that 9? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Am I counting 9? Yeah. Lawson, Shed, Roden, Castleton, Battle. Yeah. And as far as the minutes, we're giving 34 to Lawson, 33 to Shed, 32 to Roden. And I was looking like these guys are not good fantasy appointment of players. Just sort of looking at that. Lawson's not been terrible. But I think Rodin's like 0.6-ish. Obviously, he hasn't had a ton of opportunities, so the sample isn't huge. I really think that if they let Pirtle go, I think he's a really sneaky, like, large field tournament play. I just don't know how many minutes to let him go. We're giving 25. So at 25 minutes, which is kind of conservative in theory, he's got a 32.6 median projection on DK at 6K. But he can exceed that. He could put up 15. I mean, you know how terrible this Philadelphia team is at rebounding with all their bigs out, right? Like,
yep.
I just don't know how long he's going to play. But, you know, if you're playing I know today on DK they have the 300K tournament, 100K up top. If you're in that for 5, and I think they have it for like 3 as well. The 15 today is actually, I think, 50K, 10K, so it's less up top. But if you're doing those lottery type contests, I would absolutely get some Pirtle. Because there's a chance Toronto's down 10 and they give Pirtle 32 minutes. Because what the hell? Why not?
He is going to be fairly high owned though, Dean.
Is he? Okay.
I mean, we currently have it for 23%. I think that's fair. You know, I don't think that's necessarily wrong. He's gonna. I think he's going to be a fairly popular center. I'm not saying he's bad by any means, though.
Yeah.
You know, I think he's completely fine. But I mean, I think he's got a really, really solid floor in this matchup. And he's got a ceiling. So I mean, really, I think he's a fine play. Really, even in smaller field GPPs.
Toronto's up like 8 with 6 minutes to go. Is he on the court? That's kind of what I'm asking.
Right. Yeah. No. I really don't know.
Is it Orlando Robinson?
Yeah.
I don't know. We've seen him do it twice.
That's a good question. That's a good question. I'm not really sure.
But it's also kind of baked in because 25 minutes we're starting. You know, typically if this is the start of the season and that they were down the 9, there's no shenanigans. He would play 33. So they're sort of baking it in. At 20 and at 25, he projects okay. Now he might play 22 minutes. I don't know. But yeah, I see now that he is going to be more popular than I was anticipating. The other guys are getting more popularity because they're cheap and it's not as difficult to pay off the salary. Like Shed at 36% on DK, Lawson at 20%, Rodin at 15%, Battle, and those guys are all like in the 3 and 4K area. I guess you'd probably split off Pirtle and Robinson, right? You'd max it at 1. I think that's what you're supposed to do, correct?
Yes. Yeah, you definitely can't play those guys together.
And if you're doing Castleton, I probably would.
Currently, our number 1 optimal has 4 Raptors in it, which makes me really, really nervous.
Makes me want to throw up. There's no way. There's no chance I'm playing 4 Raptors. Yeah. I might play 2.
I would have no problem getting to like 2, maybe 3, but 4 seems a little excessive. That does make me a little bit nervous getting to that many Raptors.
It's a miracle Markkanen is healthy enough to play basketball today. He's in. Oh yeah, they find him, and all of a sudden, 100K. It's enough to get them excited. Clark's also again it's a scheduled blowout, so it doesn't matter. Springer is available. Clarkson's available too to play for Utah. Do you think how many lineups would you have to make? I'm guessing more than the amount you're actually making. Would you play Boucher? Because we have not seen Boucher play basketball in 2.5 weeks. DMPCDs, dealing with a mouth. He had what do they drill your mouth up? Wisdom teeth, maybe? He had something to do with his mouth, his teeth. And he hasn't played in a while. But we've seen games out of Boucher when they give him run, and I have no idea when or if that's happening. It could be he's got to play tonight, right? If you're playing 9?
You would think he'd get some minutes tonight. How many are we giving him currently? Like 15?
21. We're giving him 21 at 3 points a day.
Okay.
So like,
all right.
That's not sneaky if that's – but I don't know how to project that. I'm not saying the projection team's wrong. That seems like a fair number to put on it. But I don't know.
I mean, he's currently in our first optimal, and that's why, because he's getting 21 minutes. That makes sense at 3,200. Yeah, I mean, I think that's super, super shaky and super fragile, right? Like, we really can't be sure about that. And if you think he's going to be chalky, that would be chalk that I would jump off of. If you don't think he's going to be chalky, then I might take the risk and play Boucher. But yeah, I mean, that's super fragile.
Yeah. It is pretty. It's tough. I don't know. The Swatter Boy. We just saw the picture on the screen there with Bobby Boucher. Spectacular nickname. That's not mine. That's just out there in the ether. But he's in the mix. He's in the mix. We're currently projecting as far as the starters. Well, let me see, because we still have Scotty Barnes officially on the starting labs page. At least
no, he's not.
Okay, so now we have Shed, Lawson, Roden, Castleton, and Purtle, which is gross, which is pretty gross. I was going to ask them like the mop-up question, but this game probably doesn't. Both these teams are trying to lose. It's not going to be a blowout. I don't anticipate a mop-up situation. They could mop out, I suppose. But yeah, could you power rank your favorite 3 Raptors for me?
Yeah, I could do that. I think it would be Shed, Pirtle, Lawson. Shed's definitely 2 for me, and then the 3 guys a little bit like Lawson, Roden, Boucher. Mixing and matching those value pieces. I'm not really sure what to do with Castleton, given that he's center only.
No.
I hate to like waste a center spot on that, so probably not going to play him.
Same.
So yeah, but the field's not going to play him either. And if he plays like he has been playing around like 25 minutes a game, so I don't know.
We're projecting him to start too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, obviously, it'd be much more helpful if he had power forward eligibility. And that's why Boucher will be more popular, I assume.
Yeah, he's the only player on the Raptors that has power forward eligibility.
Let's see. I wanted to see what he's done so far. And I wanted to run some stuff like how much has Boucher played alongside Pirtle, but this just feels like an extreme situation where they probably haven't done it a ton this year, but producers.
And how much is Temple even going to play? Like they're essentially playing with 8 bodies.
Like, what is the point? You just got to see what you have in Garrett Temple.
Right.
How much has he played of late? I feel like he's played sprinklings here and there, right?
Eight, 9 minutes the last couple games.
Yeah. How is he? I mean, good for him for sticking around, but feels like I feel like he's not been in the league for the last 5 years. So he has been, but hasn't, really made much of an impact. But okay, as far as fantasy points per minute, and I'm not going to run an on-off stuff because everybody's off and you can't run anything, right? The sample size is going to disappear. But Boucher, 1.11 fantasy points per minute. Obviously, that's why we're talking about him, because when he gets an opportunity, he's good fantasy-wise. This is DK for what it's worth. Robinson, 0.91. Lawson, 0.83. I didn't mention Dick was out as well when I was doing the rundown as far as the Toronto guys. Of course, he's not available. Castleton on the season, 0.75 fantasy points per minute. Usage, 10%. But that's only 52 minutes. That's our sample, but he's been really bad in a small sample. Lawson, I get 0.83, Battle 0.81, Shed 0.8 with an 18% usage. It's none of it's like somebody's got to shoot a lot. It might just be Pirtle on the ends, and again on the inside, Philly might be without a lot of their bigs. Man, I don't know what to do. I hate this game. I hate it. And I hate that this is the way that Toronto, and it's one thing when they're playing in somebody else, you can figure out now when they're playing against each other, they're really forced. The shenanigans are going to get ramped up, right? Shenanigans on steroids in this game for sure. But what else? Anything else you want to say as far as Philly and Toronto? We should scoot along.
Yeah, I was just thinking about potential rules to build around this game, like one of Castleton and Robinson. Like separate Robinson and Castleton, separate Pirtle and Castleton probably. No more than maybe get to a min 2 max 3 of this game. I was just thinking about certain rules to play this game.
Yeah, you got to be Captain Insano to watch this game for sure. About a half an hour or so, we got crunch time rolling in. Kyle and Neil as well as Roth. Roth will be holding it down. Let's move along and talk about the 8 o'clock games. There are 4 of them, 4 8:00 games. Caruso, by the way, was ruled out. Yeah, no Caruso for OKC. I don't think that matters a ton. Do you think that matters?
I don't.
I don't think that's a big deal. A little bit less as far as their, I guess Wallace might play a little bit more. Dort. And are we going to get a significant boost for Wiggins or Joe? I don't think so, right? Like nothing worthwhile.
I don't think so. No.
Okay. We'll get a projection update soon enough. Anything changes, we'll certainly update that. But let's talk about the Mavs and the Spurs. 236, that is the total. Dallas, 6-point dogs here. Currently 10 available for Dallas. That's because we are currently projecting PJ Washington in, but that seems fragile and optimistic. But, he's questionable, as is Brandon Williams. Brandon Williams also questionable. Dante Exum also questionable. He's got a hamstring tightness. They've been kind of limiting his minutes as well. Of course, Dallas, we know the same dudes are out. Anybody that's tall in Dallas is basically out. Basketball tall, they're real life tall. All of them are. But, Lively, Jones, Kyrie, Jaden, Gafford, the Brow, all out. Spurs, they're without Bassie. This is kind of significant, potentially, if both Sohan and Vassell are out. Of course, Wemby's out for San Antonio, but Vassell is questionable. He's got a wrist, and Sohan's got a calf. Maybe Castle is a guy that can kind of break out, or maybe a little bit more for Eldon. Fox has been terrible for the Spurs. He's not been good.
I think once they lost Wemby, he lost interest, honestly.
I think he's dealing with like a hand. Is it a hand or a finger?
You hurt? Okay.
I think so. I think he's playing through something. I think so. Like I feel like that was a thing for Fox, and I don't know if he's ever fully recovered, but he's if you look at his fantasy output and his price, it doesn't line up. I don't like doing the old game log, but he's 8-9 on DK, right? Stop me when like 8-9 is a good price. 30 points, 34, 29, 31, 37, 19. Stop. You're supposed to stop me whenever you hear something good. 41, 31. None of this is good. Like at no point. It's a good matchup here against Dallas, but I feel like his price he's just not going down for some reason. Why is that? I don't know. But he should be like 7-5, but he's not. Spurs?
Do you think Vassell is really going to be 30%?
No. Well, I mean, he might not play, right? And if he does, I don't think he'll be 30%. We did get Alec Burks out, by the way, just a heads up. I don't think that matters for Miami. Rozier is available. I know he was ill. Again, I don't think that matters, but we do want to give the people the update.
Last time I brought up Alec Burks, you slammed me on air, and then he went for 10x. So
no, 10x, really?
Yeah.
What was he like 3K and he put up 30? Nobody 10x's.
Yeah.
Oh man. Bad job by me. I just have a reaction for Alec Burks.
You did have a reaction.
Good call. Well, he's out tonight, so somebody's got to step up. And the Heat are my team, and obviously Burks is not somebody that's a part of their future. Man, I just ran.
I do like your Castle call on the Spurs, though. I think that's a pretty sharp call. 6,300, I think, is an okay price, especially if Vassell sits.
Yeah. Do we have an if-then set up for that? I know we have some if-then.
I don't think so.
No. We have an if-then set up for if Oubre, Yabusele, and Drummond are all out, and like Bona. If all those guys are out, Bona looks really good. Walker looks really good. And I guess Alex Reese and Butler are also guys that are potentially in play. Is Alex Reese, is that his sister Angel or no? Do you know?
I don't know.
Somebody tell me. I'm Googling now. I think that's spelled the same way. But all right, somebody let me know in the chat. I just ran some optimal stuff on FanDuel, and the first 3 players are Raptors. Oh God. And you're getting three Raptors or 4 Raptors. You can't get more than 4 in FanDuel in our first like 3 or 4 iterations. Man, they are down to 9, and Barnes and all the usage is gone. Like somebody's got to soak it up. It always has to equal 100, right? the math still has to math out. And all these guys that are 10, 15, 20, somebody has to get them up 20. That's just the way that goes. Shed, by the way, the most popular player right now on DK currently. With talking about Plumlee. Plumlee also hitting stuff pretty hard. Vassell is coming in pretty strong. Is that a positional thing? Is that the reason why Vassell is hitting stuff? Because why is he coming in at 40%? It's not like an amazing 6'1". He's got a 33-point projection, which is fine, but that doesn't really jump off.
He's coming in at 40% on FanDuel, you said?
DK.
Who's this, Vassell?
Yeah, you brought him up. And
I thought he was coming in at like 28%.
Well, no, I'm saying that's the current ownership project. I'm saying the stuff I'm running. He hit my first.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I ran like 77 lineups, and he's in 40% of them. So, but like Pearl, 36% of them. So, yeah, Pearl's not sneaky at all. You were right to correct me. Now he's just.
I'm not saying he's a bad play though. Just to be clear, like,
yeah,
I think he's a really good play, but he's not going to be sneaky.
So, how are you handling San Antonio and Dallas as things stand right now? And if Vassell doesn't go, do we boost up Castle? I think
we can boost up Castle. I think we can boost up Keldon Johnson. But if everyone stays healthy, and if Vassell's going to be really that highly owned, I really have no interest in this game. I don't have a ton of interest. I guess maybe you could get to maybe some Najee if PJ Washington sits, but his price is very inflated now. So I'm not sure if 7,500 might be too much. There's not necessarily anyone off the bench. Maybe Kessler Edwards at 4,300 because he does have power forward eligibility if PJ Washington sits. But as it sits right now, if everyone's healthy in this game, I don't have any interest.
If PJ Washington plays, and we have not seen him play since 11 games ago or so, where he tapped out against Milwaukee with his ankle, we're not assuming full minutes, right? Or we think he's going to be full.
So he hasn't played since March 1st.
28 minutes is our projection right now.
We're giving 28. Yeah, I think that's fine.
It's not enough where you play him, and it's enough where it kind of ruins other players, right? I think that's kind of where it lands. Yeah. You mentioned Marshall. He's had a couple games where he's been outrageous. I know there's a sticker shock to it. It's not a cash game play. I think he'd probably be my tournament bucket. I think he's in the bucket at least.
I think he would rate out decently if Washington sat.
Yeah, that's a good point. Brandon Williams sits. I'm glad Robbie pointed this out. If Williams sits, then Dinwiddie can be a thing. And Williams is questionable. And the thing is, I know we only have a half hour as far as the game, 7:30, 8 o'clock, but when do we get Dallas news? When do we get Dallas starting lineup? You might get it exactly at 7:30, So we might not know if Washington's in. We don't know if Exum's in. He's officially questionable as well. I guess theoretically they can go down to 7, but that's not possible, right? You have to dress 8. Sometimes they dress 8 and say, yeah, this guy's dressing, but he's not playing, just to kind of get around that. They're not going to cancel the game. That's not going to happen. Too much money at stake. But I assume they have at least 8 that are available to play. But when do we get that news? I don't know.
And is it worth waiting for?
That's a good question too.
My first instinct is saying no, that it's not really worth the wait on Dallas. Because I don't think the value would be that outstanding.
Let's just hypothetically say Williams and Exum are out. How good of a play is Dinwiddie at 5'7"? I think he's a good play.
Yeah, he's definitely a good play. Yeah, I mean he's kind of been up and down all season, but he smashed in the same matchup a couple days ago. So, I mean, it's too bad that he doesn't have shooting guard eligibility. He used to be point guard, shooting guard.
You're right. Yeah, he's straight point guard tonight.
Yep.
We did get FEV, Freddie VanVleet, officially in for Houston tonight. We mentioned Burks being out. FEV is starting alongside Green and Brooks and Eason. Eason is starting, not Smith. I thought there was a chance Smith would start tonight. It is going to be Eason, like he has been starting along with Şengün. Of course, Amen is out for Houston. That is our next game, so it's a good little segue. Phoenix taking on the Rockets. 226.5 is the total. Houston is a 4-point favorite. I believe this is kind of important for Phoenix is 3 games out behind Dallas. How much does Phoenix care to get into the play-in nonsense? Kind of embarrassing. They got a battle to get in the 10 against Dallas, no less, who, is obviously reeling. Decent chance they catch them. And they've also been playing their studs a ton. They've been running, Durant and Booker into the ground, playing 40 minutes or so just to get the 10 spot, the right to win 2 play-in games. As far as the injury report, we did mention Richards is questionable tonight. That is he's doubtful. He's doubtful. We're assuming he's out. So that's kind of a big deal. We're expecting Plumlee, the Plum Dog, to jump in there and start for Phoenix. Makes sense because Şengün is big on the other side. Grayson Allen also doubtful. So I think the other guy that's benefits from this is Royce O'Neal. I don't know how much you need him. I don't know how usable he is, but he's another guy that can get some additional run in the absence of Richards. As far as Houston, Reed Shepard, of course, is out. Freddie VanVleet just officially rolled in. And Amen Thompson out for a bit with his ankle. How do we feel about the Suns and the Rockets? How do you feel about Plumlee chalk? That's definitely.
I was just going to ask you. It's all about Plumlee in this game. I don't know how I feel about him as super chalk. I just ran updated Sims and got 39% of him. So Sims doesn't mind him. So I guess he's a good play. But I just feel in single entry, it's, stuff that I play, he's going to be like 50, 60%. So I'm really concerned about Plumlee chalk in single entry. Not somebody that I think I'm going to be playing. It makes me a little bit nervous. I don't think he has much upside.
What is the number? What is the number that scares you as far as Plumlee puts up 25? You're fine if you didn't play him. 33, you want him, right? Is that right? Kind of where you're at?
But I think there's other really, really cheap players on this slate that can beat him really easily.
Different positions. Yeah.
Right.
Because center is, I guess we'll talk about.
You got Pirtle, Okongwu, Şengün.
Mm-hmm.
All these guys that I would really much rather play than
maybe Bona.
Exactly. I would definitely rather play Bona than Plumlee.
Assuming everybody's out for Philadelphia.
Assuming everyone's out, yeah.
Yeah, which we don't know yet. We will. Crunch time will know at some point because that is a 7:30 game. That is one of the games that locks first. There is an opportunity cost, and man, it's tough. And I would say also on FanDuel, it's even tougher to play Plumlee. He's more expensive, and you only get one. He's a pretty good fantasy point meta player. I'm pulling up his stuff right now. Let me see. 0.95, not amazing, but not terrible for a center. They tend to be better, but good rebounder. He can get some blocks. He can be a little handsy too, and Şengün certainly can draw some fouls on him. Şengün, kind of an old school player where he'll still post up. You don't see that much more these days, but definitely he can post up Plumlee and get him in foul trouble. I kind of like it. But it's so Tim. I don't know. You're playing cash tonight. He's going to be in your cash lineup on DK, right?
Plumlee?
Yeah, I think so.
Depends on the Philly news because I'd still rather play Bona over Plumlee in cash.
Okay, so you like Bona over Plumlee if we happen to get Drummond and Yabusele out.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, he probably would project better. 3.5. I think they're basically the same price. Yeah, essentially the same price. Do we like anybody in the Rockets? I think Şengün, by the way, is a really good price on FanDuel. He's 9.7 on DK.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's an awesome play on FanDuel. If you're not playing Okongwu in cash, I think you play Şengün in cash on FanDuel because he's 8.8 over there. Almost a 1K downgrade.
Wow.
You just don't see that.
That's a really good price. I'm not playing on FanDuel tonight. But yeah, that's a really, really good price on FanDuel for sure.
Okay, so Tim, I guess I was gonna say you always play FanDuel and DK when you're on the show, but you didn't expect to be on the show.
I wasn't prepared to be on the show tonight, so
no, thank you.
I did not register anything on FanDuel.
What I was gonna ask though is the setup for FanDuel. What are you doing? How do you include the last 2 games? I
know it's very hard on FanDuel. I'm kind of glad that I'm not playing FanDuel today.
And you're in bed 9 o'clock, so you can't even stay up and wait to see.
No, that's not true. I always stay up to the last game of any sport, and then it's pretty much over for me.
Yeah. I just, it seems like a weird. I was shocked. I'm not shocked. It's, but I was surprised that they included Minnesota, Denver, and New York and Portland, because I love the sprint slate of 7 games. It's just a beautiful setup. I wish some of the games were a little bit different, but just in principle, I do love that setup. Yeah. Anything else?
We got a couple of questions in chat about center. Are you considering pivoting off Plumlee and playing Castleton? I would not do that. I would much rather play. Yabusele out.
There it is.
Oubre in.
What? No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God. He's the first one to rug pull us, man. I'm telling you, I am on alert for that. Oh man, I can't believe why. That's so strange.
It is very strange.
Good luck projecting his minutes, because in theory, he looks like an amazing play, but man, I don't know. That's odd. I don't know what to do with that. What are you doing with that? With Oubre in? Because he's going to project decently, right? What are his minutes? What do we get him?
He's projected for 28 right now, I think. 28 fantasy points.
He's actually priced pretty high, so I don't think he's 6'8" on TK.
He's 6'8". Yeah.
Yeah. Probably should be lower than that, but what is he on FanDuel?
Man, that's very unfortunate, because now it's like hard. Like, I mean, Lonnie Walker's still a good value play, definitely, but he's not like a smash, easy, plug and play.
Yeah, that is I got that one wrong. By the way, Nurkic is in for Charlotte, which maybe they run their 3 centers, and that downgrades Williams for me a little bit. If you're interested in Williams,
sure.
I think it's a bit of a downgrade, because they probably play all 3. Not guaranteed, but probably. I think all 3 are projected to play.
All 3 are projected to play.
Yeah. So I don't think it's anything I really want to mess with now. And again, Charlotte, despite how many minutes they're playing Bridges, should want to lose. They should definitely want to lose the basketball game tonight.
Drummond is a game time decision.
Okay. I mean, dreaded Philly. Yeah, James Brown getting ahead of us. We'll talk about it in a second. Would you play Bane and Ja together? For some reason, the games the Jazz are supposed to get blown out. They make it a game for 3.5 quarters. Well, they are playing some of their better players tonight, because Markkanen all of a sudden feels good. Yeah, and that matchup is amazing. We'll talk about it. They have a team total of close to 130. So, and also they have a couple questionable pieces that we'll dive into. That is our next to last. That's our last game, although they're all at 8:00, obviously. Any final thoughts as far as Phoenix and Houston? Any priorities here in this game?
I wouldn't say there's any priorities, no.
Yeah. I don't know if I want to call Plumlee a priority, but I like him.
I don't mind him, but I don't think it's a priority.
Yeah. Tatum is in, according to Kenneth in our chat. Thank you for that. I don't see it just yet, but I will take Kenneth's word on it.
I've seen it. It was earlier. Yeah.
Oh, did I miss it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that when I was doing the deal by myself? I probably a couple things. Hit the like button there. Producer Steve reminding the people, do subscribe and turn on those notifications. All of that is appreciated. If you're playing multiple DFS sports, we talk about baseball being right around the corner to 2 weeks away, give or take, right? Get yourself Combo Pro. We're running a special at $79.99. Football, baseball, basketball, hockey. Tim's all over the hockey. PGA, MMA, everything with the exception of NASCAR. NASCAR is a la carte, but if you're buying some of the sports a la carte, $79.99 is just $15 more than a la carte golf, just $5 more than a la carte basketball. Put them all together and meld them, you get yourself a bit of a deal. All right. Also should mention that the Shot Quality team, they have cooked up something special for the NCAA tournament, which I love. You know how much I love March Madness. March Madness Primer. It's a comprehensive betting guide with actionable insights on all 68 tournament teams. The primer is powered by Shot Quality data and includes features of player profiles, rankings, key metrics, live betting charts, things of that sort. Every purchase of a monthly or annual Shot Quality subscription will come with a complimentary primer The data is normally $39.99, but you're getting it for free when you sign up. Check out those links in the description. What do you got, Steve?
I just wanted to do a little quick note. I was thinking of you earlier today when I was watching college basketball. I was tilting my face off, but you always say how terrible it is, how it's not the same. I watched the team I bet on not score a basket for over 10 minutes of game time and not even score a point for over 9 minutes of game time and blow a 19.
What team was this?
It was Arkansas. Coach Calipari, too, who did great.
He's in Arkansas now? Calipari's in Arkansas?
I think this might be his first year, maybe his second, but I think his first.
Did you tweet about
no, this is Arkansas? No, I'm off Twitter right now. But I was like, I was thinking of you.
What does that mean?
What hates it?
Did you get kicked off?
No,
tilting too hard.
Boycotting.
Self-imposed.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, I was laughing. I was tithinking of you, where it's like, oh man, 10 minutes, and this team hasn't even scored one basket.
It's terrible. I mean, there's some good stuff and whatever. But I mean, college football, the players are not as talented, but it's just as fun.
College football is fun.
Yeah, but doesn't equate for basketball for me. Okay, Grayson Allen officially ruled out. Richards officially ruled out. We kind of knew that. Washington out. Williams in. Brandon Williams in. So
that's not really amazing, other than I guess maybe for Kessler Edwards.
Yeah, we'll see how the projections change. Exum's also questionable too. He's got that hamstring, and even if he plays, I don't know how many minutes they can get out of him. But yeah, a lot of news coming in on through. Crunch time coming in about 10 minutes or so with Roth, Kyle, and Neil. Let's see. I think we got everything. I think we're caught up. We'll give a refresh to lineup HQ soon enough as far as Dallas, see if anything changes dramatically. Yeah, Don Yuzi says if Brandon Williams starts, I like him. Yeah, he's been pretty good. Good. Yeah, I'll keep an eye on him. I'm curious how the projections go as far as that. But let's
even with Washington in, Williams had a projection of 21 fantasy points. So that's pretty decent for 4,500.
Yeah. The Clippers, the only team on this slate, either on the front end or the back end. Everybody else, island game. They're on the back end of a back-to-back. Travel as well into Miami. They're 2.5-point dogs here. Of course, Kawhi cannot play on the back half of a back-to-back, so he's not available. Otherwise, for the Clippers, we have Powell still out. He's still out with his hamstring. Anybody else of note? Ben Simmons is out. Of note? Yeah. He's out.
Yeah, that's not really that's not of note.
Jovic for Miami is still out with his hand. Khalil Ware is available with his knee. He's been scuffling, huh? He had a fun 10 games or 10 days or so, and yeah, he hasn't been great. Wiggins is available with his ankle. He should play a lot of minutes, as will Bam, as will Hero. I don't think we're going to get a lot of ownership here, though. We did get note that Burks is out and Rozier is in. I don't think we care, but there you go. Just passing along the news. I don't like this game a heck of a lot. Do you?
I hate this game. I think this game's awful. And there's so many point guards that I want to play in this slate. I don't like Harden, especially if he's going to be 23%. So there's so many good value point guards, so many good pay up point guards. So Harden is just I don't really like him.
Jim Harden last night played a game, flew into Miami. I'm not sure what time they got in. Did Jim Harden go straight to the hotel in Miami?
Yeah, I don't think so.
You don't think so? Yeah, Harden's
that
fine.
That would be like plus 280 that he went straight to the hotel.
Yeah. By the way, we got a projection update coming on through. Give the old the refresh on lineup HQ. He is popular, Harden, on FanDuel at 9.6. At least he was.
Yeah, he's always a little bit cheaper over there. I still don't really like him that much. That's just kind of like my opinion. I don't really like this game, so.
But it's just it's kind of like the Şengün thing. Forgetting matchup and all that kind of stuff. He's $6K, $600 less on FanDuel. He's 10-2 on DK. He's 9.6 over there on FanDuel. Yeah. And just the general cheat code, however you want to phrase that. When a player is cheaper on FanDuel, or even similar, it's they're a little bit cheaper over there. How you're working the salaries. So he just has a better price. On DK, he's grabbing some ownership on DK too, which I think that's a little high, but Obviously,
Well, it does make me nervous that Noto made him a core play.
Noto's a pretty sharp guy.
I know. That does legit make me nervous, but I don't know. It's tough.
Yeah. But, yeah, and Zubac's been awesome. Like, in tough matchup for both sides, Zoo and Bam.
And the other thing is raw points are kind of hard to come by in the slate. There's not like huge like spend up options. And there's so much value. So hard in that way kind of makes sense, but still, I think I'd rather have other spend ups.
We're not really going to touch on it, but on FanDuel specifically, Joker is raw points, right? He's 13K now, 13K now, which kind of worth it, especially if you can make it work if you want to, by all means. Not on the DK slate, but to your point, the next highest guy is SGA at about a 7-point projection less on FanDuel. And the next guy, Tatum, is 13 points less than Joker's projection. So, they don't have obviously no Wemby on the slates, no Luka, the absolute best, no Giannis. Joker's kind of in his own category, stratosphere, however you want to phrase it. Of course, centers, you got to get to one right. If he puts up 65 points, that's probably not enough. It's not going to kill you, but probably not enough. We're throwing away LA and Miami. 5 minutes or so. We got crunch time coming in. We got to talk about Utah, the Jazz and the Grizz. 247.5 is the total. Utah, one of the worst defenses in all of basketball. I think they're second now by a defensive rating. They give up the most steals. They give up the most blocks. They give up the most made threes. They give up everything in transition. Memphis is the fastest team in basketball. Memphis has a team total of 129.5. They look awesome. Oh, we should mention for Utah, they are actually playing some of their players because a $100,000 slap on the wrist scared them. We have, Keontae George's out. Is Clarkson in or out? Do we have Clarkson officially in or out? Is he still questionable? Did we get a ruling on him?
I don't think I've seen anything yet, Dean.
Okay. Not sure about Clarkson, but Markkanen is in. I think Clarkson's in too. I'm pretty sure Clarkson's in as well. Because I think that all came at the same time. It's not. I have the 5:30 injury report. I got to refresh. Springer, I believe, is probable as well. Memphis, Edey's questionable, and he's a guy that can have a sneaky good game here. A little bit trickier against Walker Kessler. Walker Kessler, of course, much better defensively at the 5 than Filipowski. Man, if he was playing against Filipowski, he would have a blast out there. Assuming he plays. He's questionable. Clark is also questionable. And what if both those guys are out? What if they lose both Clark and Edey? Then they're going to be kind of thin as far as bigs. And then Kessler, I think, would be interesting on the other side because, he should be able to get a ton of boards. We've seen the upside when he gets loose. He has 25-plus rebound games. He's had, 5 or 6, 7, 8 stock games as well. So, and not going to be owned, but if you want a run back for Memphis, because Ja looks amazing, Bane looks amazing, Vince Williams looks like an interesting cheapie. What is your assessment? Are you as excited about the Grizz as I am?
Yeah, I mean, we had that question, would you play Morant or Bane in the same team? And the answer is yes, I would. I absolutely love Bane, love Morant, don't mind Edey. This is an amazing game script, 248 total. Cheap-ish prices on these Grizzly guys. Fastest team in the NBA. So definitely love Morant and Bane in this matchup.
All right, the chat's getting to me. Dean saying Dean not paying attention to the news at all. I'm trying, dude. I'm trying.
I saw the Markkanen one. I didn't see Clarkson or Springer.
Yeah, it might have snuck past me, but
it happens.
Okay, yeah. So Markkanen officially in, Clarkson officially in. I had to get the 6:30 injury report, and they did change that. My bad. Triple J is still out too. I don't know if I mentioned that. Like I think people know at this point, but that's kind of the big deal because Triple J being out elevates the rates for Bane, for Morant as well. Both those guys get nice boosts, and Ja in a game, a transition game against Utah, he's just gonna fly against this team. The price is up, but I'm really going to try. I'm going to try to play one of those two, either Ja or.
Are you going to play any of that together, though? I think you can play them together.
I probably would only do that if I was running back a Utah player. Probably.
I don't think you need to run back. That's just
you're probably right. Collins is okay, I think. Maybe. Who's your favorite Utah player? If you got to pick one, you got to pick a Jasmine.
I wasn't even considering a Jasmine, to be honest with you. I guess it's John Collins.
I can tell myself a story on Kessler, but again, he's center and center only. But yeah, man, I think Edey's interesting if he plays. I don't think I'm going to get there, but I think he's kind of interesting as like a cheap center, kind of in the middle.
Yep, I don't mind that.
And he plays 22 minutes, 25 minutes, or something like that. That could be enough. Did you like, as far as the cheapies on Memphis? Did you like Pippen? Is he an interesting sort of dart?
Point guard just seems so valuable tonight. I don't think I'm gonna mess around with that. But I guess he's okay in like a 150 set, but not like in a 20 max or 3 max. Point guard is really valuable tonight.
How much does he mop up? Does he fully mop? I don't know. Cam Spencer would probably be the mopper. We saw him get into it with Durant last game.
With Durant. Yeah, that was funny.
It's like, who's this guy? I step up for Durant seems to be a good fun trash talker. Speaking of Twitter, he's actually pretty funny on Twitter.
We did get a question about Vince Williams as a value. I think that's perfectly fine. I think it's a good play.
So I don't like to restrict myself in saying for sure, but if I'm somehow not playing Ja and I'm not playing Bane, I want to try to get at least one piece on Memphis. So like if I just happen to get Williams, but I can play 2 of them, Williams and one of the big pieces.
Yeah, for sure.
And the only thing about Pippen is like he's a guard, and the questionable stuff is they're bigs. So maybe he doesn't really necessarily benefit so much if we happen to lose Clark, if we happen to lose Edey. They did miss that last game, right? Both guys missed last game, I believe. Gigi Jackson would probably get a little bit of a bump. We saw Huff starts, was kind of a whimper, wasn't very good. Mm-hmm. He can hit some threes. He's a good blocks guy as well. But that's basically all he does. He's a big. He can step out, hit some threes. He can grab some boards too. But and he's now 3.9. His minutes are not solidified.
I would definitely not be playing J Huff on this slate.
Yeah, and I think Marvin Bagley is the one who closed that game, if I'm not mistaken. I remember watching it. But I'm going to give a refresh again as far as if you missed anything. A lot of the news coming in. Lineup HQ team was working hard. Anything that you see differently that's changed?
Drummond is in.
Okay. Does Philly not know?
There goes the Bona play. Yeah, I don't know.
I just don't understand. I'm just confused. Like they have to lose. Do they not have access to Tankathon? Tankathon.com?
Maybe not.
They're currently 7. OKC is 7. I'm sorry, Philadelphia is 7. OKC has the right to their pick if they happen to fall behind the 6. It's top 6 protected. But by the way, OKC is rooting for Philadelphia, right? They want Philadelphia to fall. Imagine them getting a 7 pick and adding to this team. That's spectacular. And Toronto is the 6. They have identical records, but Toronto only has one more loss than them. This is a must-lose game, and they're going to play their guys. I'm so confused, but that's what they're doing. I mean, and they did rule out some of their players. I'm going to watch it. Screw it. I'm watching Toronto and Philadelphia. I'm going to punish myself.
You have to.
The rotations.
There's so much DFS goodness in this game. You have to watch it.
I don't know if it might be a big old muck on Philadelphia. Yeah, Puppet Master said they saw Utah get fined. Yeah, but Utah was getting fined for fake injury tags, which finally it took them forever. It was very obvious what Utah's been doing all season long. And again, $100,000. Who cares? That's fine. That's like one suite for a couple days. I think the Jazz are still going to be in business. We have crunch time coming in here. I'm all fired up. Give me your player that's going to break the slate. What do you got for me?
Well, my whole Philly situation got ruined, so I'm going to go with Trae Young.
Are you playing Bridges on the other side? You know that just yet or no?
I'm guessing no, but I'm not positive.
All right, fair enough. We got Neil Orfield coming in. We have Kevin Roth holding it down, and I think Kyle Murray. Kyle Murray rounds it out. Let's go ahead. Let's do it. Let's bring in crunch time right now. Kyle, are you in the projection team tonight? I assume you're not, right?
No, not at all. So.
Are you thankful you don't have to project Philadelphia Toronto? Because that to me looks like a disaster.
Yeah, I had to do I did the setup last night for this morning, and I sent a message in the Slack. I was like, Philadelphia is just impossible. Like, to just guess what they're gonna do. And you can't even take the words that Nick Nurse puts out for anything either, because it's just nonsense. So yeah, it's a mess.
Yeah, well, the words he said is that Grimes is going to have his minutes limited, right? And he played 40. I don't know what the max was, but they're down by 15, and they're down by 15. He can go there and have a great time, but we don't know if they're going to be down by 15 at any point in this game. It's also a Nick Nurse revenge game too, which you got to take that into account. I don't know how, but yeah. What's up, Roth? How are things?
It's good. We got somebody in the chat arguing about chemtrails. I'm trying not to let it bug me, but it bugs me.
Otherwise, everything all right?
Everything's good. Yeah, man. Life is good.
All right. There's going to be news kind of trickling on through. The people are probably sick of myself and Tim. Oh, shout out to Tim for jumping in. Bobby had some technical issues. Thank you, Tim. I appreciate you jumping on here in a pinch. You held down quite people don't want to hear 100% usage on my end for an hour plus. That would have been an absolute disaster. It would have been like the verbal version of whatever Philadelphia and the Raptors is going to be tonight. But we're going to step aside. We're going to get out of here. We're going to make way for crunch time. You got 40 minutes of Roth, Neil, Kyle. Roth, take it away.
Good stuff. As always, welcome to it. Ladies and gents, you know the drill. It's crunch time. It's two of the sharpest minds in the biz. Kyle Murray in the house, the aforementioned one of the heads of our projections team. Is that fair to say? I'm just going to give you that title. I'll give you that title. One of the leaders of our projection team. What up, man? How you feeling?
Yeah, feeling good. It's definitely that time of the year where NBA is officially crazy. So we kind of cross our fingers with a lot of these situations, a lot of craziness going on, but a lot of moving pieces makes it fun to talk about.
Yeah, indeed. We got Neil Orfield, Flannel God in the house. What up, man? How are you?
I'm doing well. I went for a little run this afternoon and didn't have time to shower. Usually I make sure I have time to shower after. So I'm just sitting here smelling myself right now.
Do you run in the flannel or no? You put on the flannel after?
I put on a V-neck usually when I go for a run. Yeah, I put on the flannel after.
Okay, just checking. I'm just seeing what's up. Guys, this is a big slate. There's a decent amount of games. There's a lot of breaking news, some value. So I think we just kind of dive into, Kyle, if it even makes sense, give us a rundown of what has happened and maybe more importantly, what we're waiting for. Or we can just dive into it on FanDuel if there's too much crap to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of like the stuff that already happened, we'd be here for an hour just talking about injury stuff alone. I guess for like big Q tags still remaining, like looking in the sit room right now, Rudy Gobert is a 9 impact rating. He's questionable. Devin Vassell and Jeremy Sohan for the Spurs are questionable as well. And obviously they have Wemby out. So they have a ton of usage available if those two are also out. In terms of remaining Q tags, there's not that much news left on the board, but in terms of stuff that's already happened, it's been a cluster, you know what? So I think it makes more sense to just break down the positions now.
Okay, then let's do it. Let's dive right through it. We'll start with you, Kyle. Point guard on FanDuel. What do you like?
Yeah, let me pull up the projections right here on FanDuel real quick. In terms of the top option right now on FanDuel, Jamal Shed, 4,500. Obviously, all these guys are up for Toronto. RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickly, Scotty Barnes, and Jacoby Walter all out. So this Toronto team who's been letting their young, inexperienced guys play a lot because they are tanking, and obviously they want to let guys sort of get more experience. Shed's going to probably get the biggest boost there in terms of minutes. He's likely going to start again, play mid-30s minutes, 4,500. Excellent play on FanDuel. For the spend up, you have John Morant, kind of an interesting spot because it's a great matchup against Utah, but also you do have to worry a little bit about the blowout. Scheme is an 11-point spread. Memphis has been pretty quick to not play these guys too many minutes in games that blow out, so maybe he loses a few minutes, but also he's pretty cheap, 8,700, and it's a great matchup. And then you have James Harden here. We have him projected for 38 minutes. No Norm Powell. Kawhi Leonard's doubtful, so he's likely going to sit here on the second half of a back-to-back as he's been doing all year long. So 9,600 prices up. The matchup against Miami might not look as good on paper, but again, it's another team that sort of tapered off as the year's gone on. They are favored in this game, which is interesting, but a defense that's gotten worse as the year's gone on. So I like James Harden quite a bit. A couple other names, SGA with no Jalen Williams, expensive price tag, tough matchup, but again, should play a ton of minutes in a close game, should have a ton of touches. And then you have Brandon Williams and Miles McBride in this mid-range. Brandon Williams is a little bit unique here. Dallas obviously a super thin team as well. He's been playing exceptionally when he's on the floor. Last game he left early with a hamstring injury. He's not on the report anymore, so I'm going to assume that he's a full go. And as a, we have him for 30 minutes, being that the case, and I think he's a great play if he plays the minutes. I am a little weary that maybe he's just active because they're thin, and maybe he's not going to be one of those guys that plays mid-30s minutes. So I'm a little worried about Brandon Williams, but if he does play 30-plus minutes, I think it's a very strong play. So I think him and McBride in the mid-range are guys I like quite a bit as well.
Okay, good stuff. Neil, your thoughts at point?
Yep, love the breakdown there. Now, I put on some settings for FanDuel. I'm probably not playing. Now I'm considering playing FanDuel tonight because it's the only slate that has my Timberwolves on it. But currently haven't set it up. So I just put a little randomness on a couple settings. I'm getting to 100% Jamal Sheed in my first run. 2 under lineups, got to 100% Jamal Sheed. And then it's a huge drop down to the player, the point guard I got the second most, 26%, Miles McBride, also getting to 23% John Morant. And then down De'Aaron Fox, Trae Young, James Harden, Brandon Williams, Shea, nobody else in double digits for me. I wrote up Dyson Daniels. I think he's actually pretty intriguing for FanDuel because of the steals upside. The NBA steals leader going against Charlotte, who has given up the second most turnovers over the past 10 games in the entire NBA. So I think Dyson Daniels I wrote it up. My hot take was 6+ steals today. Obviously it's a hot take, not likely to happen, but great matchup for Dyson Daniels. So I think he's pretty intriguing, particularly on FanDuel. Trying to see if there's anybody else that is worth mentioning that I'm not getting in double digits. I think that's probably it as far as players that I need to talk about. Okay, then that brings us to shooting guard. What do you like there? Yep, shooting guard, AJ Lawson. So again, Toronto very short-handed, missing like all of their starters. So I think it's a slate where we're just going to be playing a lot of the Toronto value on both sites. So yeah, at the top is AJ Lawson. Then I'm getting to Desmond Bane, and then back to Toronto with Jared Rhoden, Mikal Bridges, Miles McBride, Aaron Wiggins, De'Aaron Fox, Klay Thompson. That's it for me as far as double digits goes. And then again, you can play Dyson Daniels at shooting guard. Also, nobody else I think I need to talk about. Okay. Kyle, your thoughts on shooting guard?
Yeah, in terms of the value, guys, you have Rhoden and Lawson both going to benefit and should play a ton of minutes with the lack of bodies there for Toronto. But Lawson's the guy that's had the big usage rate, 32% usage rate last game, scored 32 points, I believe it was, against Washington. Again, good matchup here against a short and thin Philly team. Other mid-range guys, Miles McBride, I like quite a bit at 5'7", mentioned him at the point guard spot. Stephon Castle's another guy that I like quite a bit as is and could get even better if one or both of Vassell or Sohan are ruled out. So Castle could be a pretty good kind of leverage play in the spot. Also, he's been probably the more consistent offensive kind of beneficiary since the Wemby injury. Obviously, you have De'Aaron Fox there as well, but Stephon Castle's been excellent in terms of his usage rate, been very consistent, that 28 to even 30% usage rate over the last couple of weeks there with Wemby out of the lineup. So I like Castle as is right now, and I like him even more if one of these guys, Vassell or Sohan, are ruled out. And then up top, Desmond Bane here at 8.5, probably not playing him and Morant together, but if you want to play one of those guys, don't mind playing either one. And again, same deal with Bane. He's probably more likely to play a couple more minutes if the game does blow out. But nonetheless, I think at 8.5 with no Jaren Jackson in a matchup against Utah with, I believe they have a 130 implied team total there for Memphis, should be a lot of production on the Memphis side.
Okay. How about small forward, Kyle?
Yeah. So again, Toronto guys here, you have Battle at 3,700. I do again prefer Lawson. I think he's the upside guy, the guy who could potentially go out there and score 30 plus actual points. But Battle's been a guy who's produced in other categories as well with rebounds and some stocks and whatnot. So I don't mind him. He's also been a guy who has taken some threes pretty consistently. He has 5+ threes in 3 of his last 4 games and 4 attempts in 4 straight games. So he's a guy who's not been afraid to shoot it either, and that's been in limited time. So he, again, 3,700 should play 25 minutes plus pretty easily, again, with Toronto being shorthanded. So at 3,700, it's pretty much a punt play for a guy you know is going to be on the floor. So him and Lawson there. A little bit more spend-up options. Josh Hart, again, Desmond Bane. Najee Marshall did kind of come back down to earth a little bit last game, but he still salvaged it with, I think he scored like 10 actual points in the last 7 minutes of the game. So he's been a guy who can obviously put up the points quite frequently, but his assist and rebound rates have just been incredible in the role that he has right now. And it's pretty much going to be the same thing with PJ Washington ruled out again. So Najee Marshall at 7,400, think he looks great here in the matchup against the Spurs. And then in terms of other guys here in this range, I think you have the 2 Toronto value guys, those 3 spend ups that I mentioned. Some tournament plays, Vassell if he plays, Tari Eason here at 6,400. But other than that, I think those main 5 guys that I first mentioned, the guys I'll be sticking with at small forward.
Okay. Neil, before I get your thoughts, I did get a question in Kyle about Brandon Williams. I'm not sure what position he is, but Robbie says, do you think he isn't going to play much? I was planning on loading up on him.
I mean, I don't have any, it's not like a real worry that I have. It was just like a minor speculation, I suppose. If he's active, he should be playing 30+ minutes. They don't have bodies here. They have 9 active players for Dallas. And then Caleb Martin, Dante Exum, and Dwight Powell, all of them are on some sort of minutes limit. Exum's on like a 24 minutes limit. Martin's at like 20, and Dwight Powell's played like, I think like 15 to 16 minutes on average.
Also because he sucks.
That as well. So it's not a real concern. It's just something that I guess I am slightly concerned about because it was a hamstring injury like 3 days ago. So it's not the most ideal thing. But again, if he's active, which he is, he's off the injury report, he's going to play 30+ minutes. So I'm not too worried about it. It's just something that I brought up as a slight worry.
Okay, good notes. Neil, your thoughts at small forward, please.
Yeah, so getting to Josh Hart revenge game against Portland. He's 8,000. Looks like a strong play at shooting at small forward. Najee Marshall getting to a lot. Tari Eason, AJ Lawson, Desmond Bain. I am getting to a fair amount of Jamison Battle, although I agree AJ Lawson the better play here. Mikal Bridges, Aaron Wiggins, Miles Bridges, Jason Tatum, Klay Thompson, and OG Anunoby, the only other players that I have in double digits. Just scroll and see if there's anybody else. I don't think there's anybody else that I really feel the need to play. And yeah, I agree with Kyle that like I'm not super concerned about it. If Brandon Williams is starting, I'm not going to be super concerned about it. But I agree that it is like something I'm a little bit concerned about a recent hamstring injury. Yeah, it's right. It's in the back of the mind.
Yep. Okay. That brings us to power forward. Neil, what are you doing there?
Yeah, power forward, getting to, again, Josh Hart. Okongwu getting 64% currently. Najee Marshall, Tari Eason, Miles Bridges. Love him on both sites. Jason Tatum, OG Anunoby, and then Chris Boucher. That one will probably be contingent on him being in the starting lineup. I probably am not going to play double-digit percent if he's not in the starting lineup, particularly on FanDuel where he's 4,400. But if he's in the starting lineup, I'm going to keep him there at double digits. And that's it for double digits for me.
Sounds good. Kyle, your thoughts to 4?
Yeah, a lot of guys do carry over from the small forward position. Josh Hart, Najee Marshall, Tari Eason as a tournament play. OG Anunoby as well if you're not playing Josh Hart. Okongwu you can play at power forward on FanDuel, which I do think is nice considering he has that eligibility. He's been playing pretty consistently 30+ minutes here as Capella just continues to sort of take the back seat there. So Okongwu I do like. Chris Boucher is another Toronto player. Again, pretty much if there's a player on Toronto, you can at least have them as a reasonable option. I guess the one I wouldn't have any interest in would be probably Garrett Temple. But like Chris Boucher is a good permanent producer. He could play upwards of 20 minutes tonight, maybe 20 to 23 minutes if the game goes right for him. Just considering how thin they are, and Pirtle's been pretty limited as well, so maybe they need a little bit more size. So yeah, Boucher I think is in play at the very least at 4-4 there. One other name that I'll throw out there that I forgot to mention at the small forward position would be Denny Avdia. And then Miles Bridges as well. I think you can also throw in the player pool, but Denny's been awesome as of late. He had like 15 rebounds, 16 rebounds last game. He had like 10 rebounds in the first half against Golden State. And that's not really necessarily a fluke, in my opinion. His rates have gone up pretty significantly with no DeAndre Ayton and no Jeremy Grant on the floor. I don't think Robert Williams is going to be playing a ton of minutes tonight. So again, I think Avdia is going to have another good rebounding rate. And he's also been a good facilitator, been a guy that's put up triple-double or triple-double threat games over the last couple of weeks there. We have him at 11% projected ownership. So Denny's a guy that I like in tournaments.
Yeah, that is a name that's been tossed around in the chat as well. So I'm glad you mentioned that. Take us to the center spot. Kyle, what are we doing there?
So for the spend-up options, you have Şengün here at 8,800, who I like as well. With no Amen Thompson, his rebound rate should just be more reliable and more significant with him out. He had 14 rebounds last game with no Thompson's been a beast on the boards as of late. So taking him out of the lineup there's obviously a big boost there for Şengün. Plumlee as well with all of these injuries. No Nick Richards there. So Plumlee should start. We have him for 27 minutes. I think that's a good projection there. But, we've seen them kind of roll Plumlee out into games that they've gone to overtime. He's played more minutes. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's a guy that plays 28 to 30 regulation minutes. So Plumlee at 4,400, I think it's a really good value play. And then obviously you have Jokic, that 13K price tag over on FanDuel is a hefty one. But again, you have all the value in the world. So if you can fit him or SGA, it's nothing to fit these guys with all the value that you have. But I do prefer Şengün, I think, in this range. I like him quite a bit tonight at 8.8 on FanDuel.
I think this would be power forward, but any interest in Jabari Smith? I feel like he went off last game, and I don't really know who's stepping up yet with Amen out. Is that playable or no?
I think Smith's fine, but I do think that with Van Vliet back, I know they don't play the same position, but just the way they kind of orchestrate their starting lineup, Jalen Green will bump down to the 2, Van Vliet will start, so all these guys are bumping down. So I wouldn't be surprised if Smith's even off the bench. So I think he's fine at 5.4. The price tag's fine, but the minutes might be a little thin tonight.
Okay, yeah, I didn't realize that and how that changes the whole lineup. Good thoughts. Neil, your thought at the center spot?
Yeah, getting to a lot of Okongwu again at center also. Şengün, I also love tonight. Wrote him up. Playing Mason Plumlee is 16th percentile in terms of defensive EPM, which particularly for a center, that's just really bad. So nut matchup for Şengün. Colin Castleton, who I know absolutely nothing about, but I'm getting to 15% in my first run at 3,800 on FanDuel. Actually, more of him than Mason Plumlee, who I also wrote up. Tough matchup for Plumlee, but he's just a little bit too cheap.
A quick note on that. The Raptors are starting Jamal Shed, Roden, Battle, Castleton, and Pearl. Does that pique your interest a little more?
Yeah, I mean, they're limited in bodies, so I mean, it's good to hear either way that he's starting. So yeah, definitely piques my interest a little bit more. I don't know what to do with Boucher now, so I'm curious to hear you guys' thoughts on what do we do with Boucher off the bench. Are you still willing to play him at 4,400? Because I'm torn a little bit. He could just like not play that much, but you think upward of? You still think that he has potential to play 20 minutes? Al?
Yeah, I think. I think he'll still play about 20 minutes because, again, I don't think they're going to run Pirtle out there for any more than 24, 25 minutes. So Robinson will play the backup 4, and I think essentially Boucher will just get the 4 minutes that aren't Castleton there. So, I think he could still play 20, 22 minutes, but I think this is a great spot to set a rule to not play Boucher and Castleton together. And if Castleton does get some steam here where he's center only on FanDuel, you have Boucher as a potential pivot there who you can play at power forward. So I do think we did have Castleton as a projected starter. So the projected minutes should reflect that. But I do think that Boucher can definitely still play, 18 to 22 minutes here as a potential range of minutes outcome.
Okay. Any other names you want to add at center, Neil? I kind of cut you off there with the Castleton thing.
No, so I don't have that many in double digits. Also, my mouse just died, and I have no way of moving my computer right now. So I'll read off the rest of my names, then I have to go find some AAA batteries, I think. But I think I was about to. So yeah, Castleton, Plumlee. I do have 10% Boucher currently. Nobody else in double digits as of now at center on FanDuel. I'm trying to see if we have Drummond starting as expected. I thought there was a chance that Drummond wouldn't get the start just because they are tanking, but looks like Drummond is starting. So that's it for me.
Okay, good stuff. You go ahead and figure out your mouse situation here.
Yeah.
We're going to hit a little promo read. Make sure you are signing up for the best deal in the industry. If you're playing multiple DFS sports for a limited time, get your first month of Combo Pro, $79.99, just $15 more than PGA Premium. It's only $5 more than NBA Premium. That is the kind of value that you're probably looking for when you are grinding out these GPPs. Let's kick it over to DK. Oh, and we have a brand new read. I will get to that in just a bit. But in the meantime, Kyle, let's start on DraftKings. First off, just in general, what are the changes between DK and FanDuel? There's actual game changes, right?
So those two, I think they're 10 o'clock or 10:30 games. Those are off the slate. So I think it's like a 7-game slate on DraftKings and then a 9-game on FanDuel. So that Minnesota game, and then I'm blanking on the last game. But yeah, the two 10 o'clock games are off the DraftKings slate.
Okay. I suppose we'll dive into it. We'll start a point guard. What do you like there, Kyle?
Yeah, so Shed and Williams both here in the mid range. So this is sort of where kind of only reason why I really brought up any sort of minor concerns for Brandon Williams. I do think it's minor. I don't know if he'll even start for sure. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't start here. They like to start Exum and still keep his minutes limited. So I wouldn't even get too concerned if Williams doesn't start. I still think we still haven't projected to start, so I think he will still. But again, the only reason why I brought up that minor concern was because if you are potentially looking for a reason to only play one of Shed or Williams, I do prefer Shed pretty clearly between those two, but both guys I think are really strong plays. Spend up options, James Harden I like quite a bit, a little bit cheaper in comparison to the slate stuff compared to FanDuel, so I like Harden quite a bit. Two other spend ups that I like: LaMelo Ball here, great matchup against Atlanta, should be a high pace back and forth type game against Atlanta. 9,600, like him quite a bit. And then SGA I mentioned on the FanDuel side, difficult matchup against Boston, but it's one of the very few games where you should be expecting full minutes for these OKC guys. Only a 2-point spread game, likely won't blow out. And then no Jalen Williams, so massive usage there for SGA. So like him quite a bit. And then two other tournament spend ups, Trae Young and John Morant there. I think that's I guess the main breakdown there for point guard.
Neil, your thoughts at point guard on DraftKings? Your mouse feeling up to the task?
Luckily I had three AAA batteries sitting right here next to me, so I was able to quickly get the mouse fixed.
A man in a flannel is always prepared, always ready. All right, what are we doing at point?
At point guard, again, Jamal Shed getting to in almost all of my lineups. Just looks awesome with should be handling the ball quite a bit with no Scotty Barnes and several starters out. Brandon Williams, I am still playing a ton, even with my concerns. I will be if he doesn't get the start, to me that would be a pretty bad signal, and I would downgrade him pretty significantly. But yeah, I agree with Kyle. He would obviously still be somebody that would be in play, but would be a downgrade there. But yeah, expecting him to start. LaMelo Ball looks great against Atlanta. Shea, Trae Young, that's it as far as double digits for me. I gave a boost to Dyson Daniels. Again, I think he's just kind of intriguing at fairly low ownership when we could potentially see a lot of turnovers there. But yeah, nobody else in double digits for me.
Okay, how about shooting guard, Neil?
Yep. Shooting guard, still getting to a lot of AJ Lawson now. I don't know that I've changed the projection at all for the starting lineup. So that might change a little bit. I think they're just so limited in bodies that I imagine I'll still get to a good amount of AJ Lawson, even though he's off the bench. But maybe not. He probably won't be my top owned shooting guard. Desmond Bane, Jared Rhoden, Jaylen Brown. That's it actually as far as double digits right now for shooting guard for me. Again, I like Dyson Daniels there. Seeing if there's anybody else worth talking about. Vince Williams is okay at 3,800, decent value there. Nobody else is really standing out to me.
Kyle, your thoughts at shooting guard?
Not too much to add. Again, these two Toronto guys are the value options that make the most sense, Rhoden and Lawson. If I had to pick between the two, again, I do think I prefer Lawson. I think he's just the higher upside guy, but again, I think both are firmly in play. Bane as a spend up option, I like quite a bit. Vassell at 6,100, I do like. If he's out again, I'm bumping up Castle quite a bit. That would be a really strong play, and also pretty natural pivot as well. Even though Castle I think is like 1 or 200 more. I do like the Daniels call as well, but nothing really more too much to add at shooting guard.
Okay, then let's go to small forward.
Yeah, so you have Battle here at 3,200. Again, there's just so much value on the slate. So really all these spend up options, you're not really struggling to fit any of these guys in. You can make pretty much anything work today. I think the only real way to think about the value is just playing guys with each other that kind of don't hurt the production against one another, especially for these Toronto value plays. Battle, I think, is more than fine here at 3,200. Najee Marshall as a spend up option, 75. I guess more of a mid range play. Like him quite a bit. Vassell I mentioned. Neil mentioned Vince Williams there. We have him for 25 minutes there with no Jaren Jackson. The Memphis rotation has been a little bit up and down with guys sort of playing and being able to play into more minutes, like guys like Kennard and GG Jackson. If they have good games, they can earn some more minutes. Pippen as well. So there's some volatility here with the Williams minutes projection, but if he does play 24 or 25 minutes, I think he's fine. Don't know if he quite competes with some of these Toronto guys, but if you're playing a bunch of lineups, I think that he's definitely in play there. And then Bogdanovich here, if you're not playing James Harden, might make sense to give him a slight bump there at 4,800. Again, a guy who should pick up some more usage. The minutes are a little bit volatile as well, but we have him for 32. Wouldn't be surprised if he plays like 28 to 30, but still a guy who can get it done in in an efficient way as well. And then last name I'll throw out there as a potential value pivot, Keldon Johnson here at 4,600. If Vassell or Jeremy Sohan are out, I think he'd get a pretty significant bump. So he's a guy that I like quite a bit as well.
Okay, Neil, your thoughts at small forward, please.
Yep, at small forward, I have 1 second. At Jamison Battle, currently my highest exposed small forward, just 3,200. Should have to play significant minutes getting the start there. Najee Marshall, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, both near the top for me. And I should say there's a huge drop after my top three is Jamison Battle, Najee Marshall, Jason Tatum. Huge drop down. I'm still getting double digits of Jaylen Brown, but just barely. Nobody else in double digits for me. I'm sort of interested in a $4,200 Niang at very little ownership for Atlanta. With no Capella there, could see some extra minutes. Bogdanovich, kind of an interesting call. Justin Edwards, I'll probably force just a little bit there, just because he could see extra minutes here. And I think that's it as far as players I want to talk about.
Steven wants to know if either of you got to Karis LeVert.
I currently don't have any. I think it's a fine play, like a pretty good contrarian play.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think he's somebody that as I'm going through, I'll probably try to get to just a little bit because you don't really need that much to be over the field. He's getting single digit ownership. But yeah, the game environment looks pretty good there. So yeah, I don't hate that call.
Kyle, your thoughts on Karis?
Yeah, I think pretty similar to Neil. I don't think he's a bad play by any means. I think there are a lot of guys who are a little bit cheaper than him that are obviously a lot of the best plays in the slate. And then there's guys that are, you're able to spend up a little bit more on. So I'm not getting to a ton of him as of now, but yeah, I don't think he's a bad play by any means.
Okay. Neil, your thoughts at power forward, please.
Yeah, power forward. Again, Najee Marshall, Jason Tatum. You can play him at small forward or power forward. Chris Boucher still getting to a lot. So hopefully he does play significant minutes here. Miles Bridges looks great against Atlanta. Tari Eason, John Collins, and that's it for me as far as double digits. Don't think there's anybody else. I want to like Bull, but I can't really justify it. His minutes have been so limited. I kind of wonder if he's like playing well with Nick Richards out. Like he's had games where they just let him keep playing and he can like get hot and do really well. But I feel like that's like only for like the largest field GPP because the floor is super low.
Yeah. All right, Kyle, your thoughts at power forward, please.
Yeah, so looks like we dropped down 1 minute on Boucher. I think that makes sense. I still think 18 to 20 minutes is like the best sort of minutes range projection for Boucher there. But it is worth mentioning that he was a DMP the last couple games. But again, super thin today, and especially with Barnes being out, I do think that really gives him a better chance to be in the rotation. And we know he's a good permanent guy. So 3,200, I do think he's still in play, but there is more risk on him than all these other Toronto guys, especially the guys that we know are starting. Najee Marshall, 7,500. Kessler Edwards turned into like Shaquille O'Neal last game. He had like 22 and 10. I was like, taking all of Najee Marshall's stats. So that was a bummer, but 4,300, you can go back to him here. I'm only playing him if he starts. Again, wouldn't be surprised if Dallas does some weird things with their starting lineup against the Spurs team that probably won't have a true center on the floor all that much. They have Biyombo starting, but he's only going to play 17, 18 minutes. So just keep that in mind. Confirm the Dallas starting lineup before making any decisions there. And then other guys, Miles Bridges, touched on him already. Keldon Johnson, same. So other spend ups that I like though. You have Tatum here again, should be playing a ton of minutes, and what I'm expecting to be a close competitive game there. I'm really excited to see that game actually. So looking forward to that one. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for power forward.
Okay. Let's see. That brings us to center. Actually, I was thinking it'd be Neil for power forward, but no, I think it's your turn for center. What are we doing there?
Yeah, so you got Plumlee at 3,400, so even cheaper than he is on FanDuel, so I like him quite a bit there. Okongwu, still like him. Again, you can't play him at power forward, which is a bummer, but again, you also have the utility spot on DraftKings, but Şengün as well here. So I think if you're spending up at one of the spots on center, you're kind of making a decision between Okongwu and Şengün. And then the value guys, you have Plumlee, you have Castleton, who's center only. I do prefer Plumlee over Castleton. I think Castleton would probably be a guy that projects for more minutes, but Plumlee, again, he's a pretty good permanent producer in terms of when he's on the floor for DFS. So don't mind him there. Castleton, kind of a guy we don't have a ton of data on. And he's also going to be playing more of a 4. So I don't know if the rebounds are, going to be as significant for a rebound rate compared to Plumlee, because Castleton will be playing alongside Pirtle, and then Orlando Robinson, he's backing up Pirtle. So a little worried about the rebound rate there for Castleton, even though he has been a good producer as of late. So I think those are the 2 value guys, and the 2 spend ups in Okongwu and Şengün. And then I guess Edwards is in play as well. But those are really the main names I'm looking at center.
Okay. Neil, your thoughts on the 5?
Yep. I am getting to Okongwu the most. Mason Plumlee is my second highest on DraftKings. Şengün, I gave a pretty significant boost to get him to get a good amount of Şengün. Just really like him tonight. Castleton, John Collins. That's it for me as far as double digits. I'm getting to a little bit of Pirtle, Zubats, and that's it. Actually, my entire player pool at center currently. And I'm not sure if I'll change that.
Okay. Before we get to some questions, we've got about 9 minutes here until lock. I want to let you know the shot quality team's cooking up something special for the NCAA tournament. Their March Madness Primer. It's a comprehensive betting guide with actionable insights into all 68 tournament teams. I need this because I just fill out the brackets just all willy-nilly, don't know what I'm doing. This primer is powered by shot quality data. It includes features like player profiles, rankings for key metrics, live betting charts, and more. Every purchase of a monthly or annual shot quality subscription comes with the complimentary primer. The data analysis normally costs $39.99, but you are getting it for free when you sign up. So make sure you're checking out what we're doing over there at Shot Quality. You get a little NCAA bracket boost as well. So give that a go. Let's see what we've got here in the Discord. Yeah, I don't know, man. I was just reading.
Roth, you go by mascots or favorite colors to pick your bracket?
I don't. I just go by teams that I think are good in my head, which probably is like 90s.
That's what I do too.
Early 2000s. Like I don't follow college basketball, so I have no idea. I'm like, oh yeah, Duke, they're probably good.
We have the same process.
Yeah, it's probably not good if you're picking teams that were good in the year 2000. All right, let's see what we've got in the old Discord here. FanDuel single entry. J Sam says, Kyle, I've got a Joker build with 2 slots left. The optimal is giving me McBride and Hart. I'm leaning Castle and Collins. I like Castle over McBride, and Collins what I have left to power forward. Do you think this is okay? P.S. I have John this lineup.
I think it's fine. I prefer the first side. I'm guessing he means John. Yeah, I'm guessing he means John Collins. There's a lot of volatility with Utah as well. Again, like they played a ton of minutes last game because the game stayed close against Boston, which was pretty unexpected. This game could easily blow out against Memphis, who have been playing a little bit poorly as of late. But if that game blows out and Collins plays like 26 minutes, wouldn't be all that surprising.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Kyle, right back to you. We have a 2v2v2 from D-Rock, DKGPP, Trey and V. Williams, Trey and Niang, or Ball and Risa Shea.
I will take Trey and Vince Williams.
Okay. Neil, coming to you for a couple here. Aside, says FanDuel Cash 2v2. By the way, if you're watching on YouTube, hit the thumbs up. Free content, smart minds, answering your questions. What more could you ask for? 2v2 for you, Neil. Morant and Bane, or Harden and King Kongwu?
Morant and Bane, or Harden and King Kongwu. I'm getting to. I'm looking largely at the point per dollar on both. It's probably the 2 Memphis guys. Mm-hmm. Getting to a lot of both. I do like a Kongwu quite a bit. Yeah. I think I'm sticking with the Memphis.
You're okay
guys.
Playing the 2 Memphis guys together, Morant and Bane?
Yeah, totally fine, especially for cash.
Okay. Right back to you here, Neil. This is from Freyas, DK Cash, single entry. How many Raptors are too many Raptors? And can you play Roden and Lawson together?
For cash, I don't think there's a limit to how many is too many for cash. Like if you're running the optimal and you get to 5, I think that's fine-ish. I'm debating whether that's okay. And then the second question is who are the players?
Roden and Lawson.
Roden and Lawson together. I think that's probably like for cash. I assume the question is also. I think that's probably fine.
Yeah. Okay. Kyle, back to you. FanDuel GPP, my boy Şengün and Brandon Williams, or LaMelo and Plum Dog Millionaire?
Well, that's a tough one. I'll go with the Şengün side, though. Very close, though.
Okay. M. Rio says, what are your thoughts, Kyle, at Drummond at center?
Yeah, Drummond I've been kind of going back and forth on. Had good fortune last time I was on Crunch Time calling him out in that Portland game, but I do think he's a little bit better and like a little bit safer because of Yabu being out. So like I think they'll probably just have him play the minutes that Bona isn't on the floor, which we saw him play like 28 minutes last game, so it could still be like 20 minutes. There's just a lot of, I guess the best way to describe it is there's a lot of volatility here.
Yeah. Okay. Is it a center in the util night on DK Cash, Kyle? Is it a center in the util, or are you getting like jamming in another cheap guard?
It's tough to say for sure, but I would say most likely, especially if you're spending up with one of these centers like Şengün or Okongwu, then yeah, it's going to be a center in the util spot with one of these value guys like Plumlee or Castleton.
Yeah. Who's your favorite spend up? Neil, I'll start with you. Who's your favorite spend up on the slate?
Favorite spend up on the slate? Let's see. I want to say I'm getting to a lot less Lawson now, so I just want to get that out there. Like since I've updated, I am getting to a lot less Lawson. Mm-hmm. Probably Şengün is my favorite spend up. I really like Şengün. It is there's some opportunity cost there because he is a center, but I just think Şengün is really intriguing. Also like Ja quite a bit. 9,300 looks really good. I've given him a projection boost to make sure I get to a significant amount. He's only getting single digit ownership. Or no, he's getting right around double digits. But yeah, I think Ja looks great. So it's probably between one of those two.
Kyle, you got a favorite spend up tonight?
I'd probably say it's SGA. Obviously going all the way up there, but I love the Şengün call as well. I love James Harden, but I do like SGA quite a bit with no Jalen Williams tonight.
Okay. Let's see what else we've got. Blink 182 says Neil is playing Colin Sexton in a large field DK tournament, getting way too cute and crazy.
No, we're dealing with some like huge contests. I have 1% currently of Colin Sexton, but I don't think that he's a bad play at all. Memphis, a pretty strong matchup there. Of course, they have a lot of their guys back tonight. But yeah, no, I think he projects pretty well for 5,600.
Okay. Jumping into the YouTube, hit us with that thumbs up. Jeffrey says, anyone on Pirtle at 6K? Neil, you mentioned you had a little bit. You had a sprinkle.
I have a little bit of Pirtle. So some concern that they're tanking and they're not going to want to play Pirtle that many minutes. But yeah, I have a little bit.
Okay. FanDuel single entry, Kyle, Castle or Eason?
I'll take Castle, and Castle only get better if one of those guys are out.
Yeah. Let's see. Nobody likes any of the Boston guys. Can one of them break the slate, Robbie says?
I mean, I don't hate Tatum. It's just there's so many options up there. Like,
yeah,
I like Harden more. I like SGA more. I like Şengün more. So, like, I think he's just unfortunately, getting, hurt by people around him. But the matchup is better as well with no Jalen Williams. He'd probably be the guy guarding Tatum. But yeah, it's just tough with the landscape around him.
Yeah. Okay. Neil, back to you. Tyler Hero or Fox on DraftKings? This question from Eric Johnson.
I'll go with Tyler Hero.
All right. Let's see what else we got. By the way, we're less than 2 minutes until lock. Get those lineups in. Hit that thumbs up. FanDuel Cash, Denny and Ja or Boucher and SGA, Neil. Denny, Ja, or Boucher, SGA?
Probably Denny Shea, I think.
It was Denny, Ja, or Boucher
Denny, Ja.
and SGA.
This is for cash.
Yeah.
And Boucher is... We don't have that starting lineup yet, do we? No, we do have that starting lineup. I don't think I would play Boucher in cash.
Yeah. Okay.
Off the bench.
Yeah. We'll go to Kenneth's question here. Kyle, what do you think about Zubac at center? Is that a sneaky good center play in a GPP?
Yeah, I think it's fine. I mean, but again, like it's similar to, why Tatum's kind of getting left out in the cold there. He's in between Okongwu and Şengün. And then obviously you have the value guys at the center spot too. So I think for me, it's just a very, very tight player pool at the center spot.
Who's breaking the slate? Kyle, you get to go first. Who's the dude that you're like, I am 3 times over the field on this guy because he's going to smash and nobody knows it?
This might be a little bit, of a cheat code because if one of these guys are ruled out, I think it obviously helps him. But right now, I like Stephon Castle. I mean, all of his rates have been so improved over the last couple of weeks. His usage rate has been so consistent with no Wemby. Good matchup here against a shorthanded Dallas team. So I'll go with Stephon Castle.
Neil, you got an answer for who's breaking the slate? Who are you riding with tonight?
I'll ride with Şengün. I really like the matchup for Şengün. A lot of volatility there, but close spread, should be competitive. So I think Şengün could put up big numbers tonight.
Okay. OS for seconds until lock. Ice Tray or the Beard in a high dollar GPP on FanDuel, Neil?
Beard.
Yeah, all right. Denny or Najee, Kyle? Denny. Oh, we like both those plays.
Yeah. I think I like Denny more than Najee, honestly.
Yeah, I think
Close,
I do as well. Guess what? We have hit the lock. We did the things. We're hearing Vassell is in. I'm not sure if we were waiting on that news, but that is according to our chat. So we're going to bounce on out of here. For Kyle, for Neil, for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes. Guys, we appreciate you. We love you. And we will catch you tomorrow. You have